this information is coming from. I have to let you know 3 or 4 other things, okay? In high school and in grad school, I was on academic probation 3 times. My parents only know about 2 times. Those were in high school. I took speech and language when I was in elementary school. I struggled. Saw a therapist in high school. Saw a therapist in grad school. Part of the reason why I'm a psychologist myself. I needed help. I needed assistance. Where did I find the assistance? I found the assistance from professionals who were taught, who had the care, the knowledge, and also the patience to help me. I also found assistance in my teammates, right? I played lacrosse, grew up playing tennis, I went to Roxbury Latin. The ability for me to find a home with the people that I spent the most time with was important for me. So right now, either on your team, or it could be you, there's somebody who's struggling. Somebody you may think is struggling with something emotionally, someone you know that they're struggling with something emotionally, or you know yourself that you are struggling with something emotionally. Best thing you can do, you don't have to necessarily address it head on. Just sit next to that person, spend time with that person, make that person feel acknowledged and appreciated. We don't need to be your best friend, but we need to feel like we belong, we exist, we are present. You have the opportunity to do that. Like the other speakers mentioned today, you are some of the most popular people, not only in your high school, maybe in your region, in your town. You have the cachet. What you do goes. If you say something's cool to do, other people are going to do it. If it's cool to annoy and bother this kid, other people are going to annoy and bother this kid. If you put a stop to it, people won't do it because they want to be like you. Your teammates want to follow you. The school will want to follow you. But this idea right up here on the slide is a great question. So I was trying to think, like, what would be a good title for this talk? And there really is no good title, but I want to do a question. I want to challenge you, okay? How long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself? There's a lot of talent in this room. Think of all the people who heard that this talk was going to happen. Probably in the hundreds or thousands of people. Then it whittles down to people who came up with excuses as to reasons why they weren't going to attend today. And then we dwindle it down, and it's just the people in this room. Your drive to get up this morning, forego other commitments that you have in your life, and sit here and have the opportunity to absorb good information that's going to be helpful for you is part of the reason why y'all are so elite, okay? So we're going to do a little affirmation, a little repeat after me. I'm an 80s baby. I'm 40. So call and response, hip-hop, it's all in my blood, okay? Is everybody ready? I don't want to be the only person talking with my broken voice today. Okay. Today may not be perfect. I hope it ain't that bad. But I woke up this morning. And I'm going to get that bag. All right, let's try it again. Today may not be perfect. But I really hope it ain't bad. But I woke up this morning. And I'm going to get that bag. All right. Let's see if I can do this. Boom. So this is another quote that I think is really, really important. We're going to jump around today just so we have time for some questions. Viktor Frankl. How many of you know about Viktor Frankl? A few. Okay, if you haven't learned about him already, you probably will read about him in college. Okay, one of the beautiful quotes that he has is what a person actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for a goal worthy of them. Think of all the time and energy that's gone into your education. Think of all the time and energy that's gone into your nourishment, your love, compassion, empathy. I'm a parent. I got a little 6-year-old Minecraft expert at home. The amount of time and energy that I dedicate to help mold him, to give him opportunities, to make him feel love, that's incalculable. And y'all are much older, so think about all that time and energy that has been spent in your lives, dedicated to you to develop you. And then think of all the time and energy you've spent dedicating to yourself, to pull your own self up, to make those hours of studying or being in the weight room or doing other things worth it for you. Don't waste your talent on something that's not worthy of you. More importantly, don't waste your talent, don't waste your time. Because I'm 40, life will come at you fast. Okay? I graduated college maybe before a lot of you were born. One day, your knees will creak. Your back will ache. You'll have to pay taxes and a mortgage, okay? Your son will wake you up by slapping you in the face, okay? Those things will happen, but right now you have the ability, you have the privilege to do anything you want to do. And your impact potentially is unimaginable. The human capital in this room is huge, and I'm not necessarily talking about your athletic ability. I'm talking about your capacity to love. I'm talking about your capacity to innovate. I'm talking about your capacity to do tremendous things. It's limitless, okay? Have to understand that you can dedicate yourself towards something that's really big. When I was in high school, getting beat up by calculus, I never thought that I could do these things. But one of the things that allowed me to do this was this relentless belief in myself and a love of education. My mom was a teacher in Newton. Anybody from Newton in the house? Cabot's ice cream, right? Yeah. And then my dad worked for Polaroid, which back in the day was like one of the big businesses in the greater Boston area. Although my dad would get upset with these grades, my mom would always reinforce, we want to develop a love of learning. We want him to be excited about the creative and the academic process. So if you're one of those B, C students like I was, I got your back. But you also are able to recognize that you are not your grades, you are not your athletic performance, you're not your academic performance, you're bigger than that. And there might be a lot of factors going into your ability to either get the grades that you want or get the grades that you're getting. But the most important thing is that you develop a love of learning and you also understand what are you willing to strive and struggle for? What are you willing to do that is worthy of the time and energy that's placed into you? Now I'm gonna get a little personal. Hopefully this isn't a problem. By mere circumstance, happenstance, serendipity, all those SAT words, okay? There's somebody in this room that works at my son's school. There's somebody in this room who's dedicated their life to supporting people like my son. How cool is that? Right? We get to meet in this place to support you, but the synergy of the experience, how small the world is, we also get to come together and do a little team up to support all of you. This person has dedicated their talents to be able to understand and support young people academically, and that's going to be really awesome that I'm going to be able to benefit from it, and my son's going to be able to benefit from it. So I'm going to skip over this, but this is an idea of acing the day. What do you want in a day? Well, maybe I'll talk about it because I'm talking about it right now. Ace the day. Every day should have some type of achievement in it. Knock something off your list. Brush your shoulders off about something that you did that day. It could be making your bed. When you're at your lowest, you're at your most depressed, you're at your most anxious. It could just be going to class. It could just be picking up the phone. Connection. Whether it's a furry friend or a friend at school or a family member, being able to feel love from somebody, being held by somebody, having to talk to somebody, the opportunity to do that. And then enjoyment. Have a little fun. Make people laugh, right? When we did that affirmation, people were smiling. People were having a good time. I could stand up here and make your life miserable, which would in turn make me miserable. And then I got to go take that to work. Or, when appropriate, we can inject a little fun, a little camaraderie. We can get rowdy a little bit. Because again, you have only so many days left to do these things. And life is all about birth and death. My high school experience died, and I birthed a college experience. My college experience died, and I birthed a grad school experience. Then I birthed this professional experience. So it's not to fear or create a sense of fear in you, but it's really to take advantage of this opportunity that you have. And that affirmation, we said, you woke up this morning. Now raise your hand if there's somebody that you wish woke up this morning with you. Well, you know what I mean. Somebody that you wish was still here. I probably should have said that. My bad. My bad. Somebody that you wish was still here. There's nothing about you, and I'm going to be strict about this and serious about this with all the love and care of my heart. There's nothing about you that's going to make you live forever. Repeat that again. There's nothing special about you that's going to make you live forever. But the special thing about you is that you're not going to live forever. And you're on this journey, and you have this time, this limited amount of time, to do amazing things. And you have to take advantage of it. And I'm not going to put pressure on you and say, time's running out. You're young. You still have plenty of time. But again, you'll hit 40 pretty quick, if you're lucky. But let's start working so that when you hit 40, you feel like you're where you want to be. You're at a mode and a place, both professionally, maybe athletically, but also personally, where you feel content, you feel emotionally connected to yourself, and you feel like you have the opportunity to live your best self. So I know I only have about 2 more minutes. I had other stuff to get to, but I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to ask any questions. If you have any questions. Yes, sir? No, I'll do it. Come down. This is like old school talk shows where we run down with the mic.
How do you think that the mental health needs of athletes differ from non-athletes?
It's a great question. Well, I think one of the ways that it differs is the fact that for athletes, a lot of their identity happens in such a public place. We think about football or baseball. So if you're on the Red Sox, you're playing at Fenway Park, there's 38,000 people on Fenway Park. Then you think about the game being televised, millions of people watching the game. Then you think about Twitter, right? When I do my job, nobody's on Twitter being like, oh, Jay just threw out a trash therapy session. There's nobody, MGH shouldn't pay him anymore, blah, 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 blah. But that critique is really powerful. And having to rely upon your body for your income is really challenging because at every day our body's trying to recover. And as you get older, it eventually fails you in the way that it was able to perform at a high level before. So I think that's it. Plus, you have the magnification of money playing a role in it as well. So I don't know about you, but if you gave me at 20 years old $5 million, probably wouldn't be really responsible with it. So being able to have this great financial opportunity, but also deal with this pain, this exhaustion, this recovery, and also this isolation. You're on stage, but you're on stage by yourself. And a lot of people can't relate to your lifestyle. Nobody can really relate what it's like to play in the Super Bowl or to throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park on Marathon Monday. It's a very unique experience, and that can create some isolation where people are trying to get to you because they want to know what it's like, but you don't have anybody who can relate to what's going on in your life.
How do you train your brain for the mental aspect of your sport?
That's a great question. So I like to train broadly. So visualization. We'll do a visualization exercise. How about that? Everybody close your eyes and please don't fall asleep. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize your dream. Whatever it is you want to achieve, let's say by October 2025. What does that look like? Where are you? What are you doing? So put that picture in your mind. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? All your senses. Then I want you to think about the first person you'll call when you achieve that goal in October. Whether they're here or not, you could spiritually call them or you can call them on the phone. So if that's October 2025, now I want you to think of what would August 2025 look like as you pursue that goal. You're 2 months away from getting to where you want to be. Now, what does May 2025 look like? And if we do this visualization further and further, we're going to keep walking back in time. And what you're going to discover is now you got a bridge from today all the way to that future self that you want to achieve. So that dream that you had, getting into that college, making varsity, doing all these other things, it's achievable. You just have to be dedicated to it. And then one last thing that I'd love to just proactively say, I was one of those people who played JV until I was a senior. I was disappointed when I didn't make JV in junior. But what I did was I said, I'm going to be where my feet are at. My feet are on JV. I'm going to try to make my JV experience the best as possible. At the end of the JV lacrosse year, I had comically come up with this title for myself of being the self-proclaimed most prolific scorer in JV lacrosse history. Okay? And then also what my goal was, I want to be prepared to take on the responsibility of varsity next year. I also want the varsity coach to see what I'm doing at JV and feel really bad for not picking me. And then I also want to bring all the people who feel like they have a chance from JV who are like me and feel like they can make varsity the next year. We're all coming for varsity. So I challenge you to develop yourself as an athlete, but I also challenge you to do what these coaches want you to do, which is how can you make your teammates better? How can you make your team a safer environment? How can you make a grueling practice a little bit more enjoyable for you and for your teammates? How can you manage adversity? It's great that you can run a 4.4 40. But can you also dedicate to getting that person who's your teammate to run a little bit faster because you're out there practicing? That's what we look for at the professional level. That's what I love to see out of the youth athletes that I work with. And so as a last little closing piece, and I apologize, I'm a little over, if you need anything, you call me. Okay? Not late at night because I'm sleeping. I'll go through all that stuff later. If you need me, I can go through the rest of the slide when we talk, but whatever. My email was on the last slide, but you can call me. If you need a psychologist, call me. If you need a sports psychologist, call me. Don't suffer alone. We should never, ever do that. But if there's no more questions, I appreciate your time, and I'm excited for, again, everything that everybody's going to accomplish in this room. And thank you. Sorry about that.
So as we get our panelists up here for our next segment, we're going to just take a 2 minutes kind of stand up and stretch break. If you need to really quickly go use the restroom, and then we'll get to our panel. I invite the panelists to come on up. Yep, I think this is everybody. Have you met?
Hey, Terry, nice to meet you. Oh, appreciate you. Oh, so you work with my dad closely? And you're used to him being late? You know 18 miles, please. 10 minutes on Steve Burton's time is 30, 40 minutes in regular time. So thanks for dealing with him. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I played at Lehigh University, Pennsylvania, basketball. And then, yeah, got washed up. So I probably can't say it. Well, you all become washed up. Thank you. Newton South. Yeah. So all my like siblings kind of grew up playing. My youngest sister was playing for Connecticut Sun in basketball, so she was able to guard Caitlin Clark. I'm like, girl, I've never been more stressed. So cool. But so we all kind of live vicariously through her, just cheering her on. Like the rest of us are washed, and she just does her thing. So that's amazing. And so can you just go through your job, like as your high school coaches, your athletic are you? I'm the assistant athletic director at Natick High School. Yeah. Insane. So I grew up with like Taylor Cleary. I played basketball with Gary Blue was my coach. So yeah, all the Natick ties. Awesome. Yeah. Are you from Natick? No, but AAU basketball, it all just blended. Yeah. You know? Oh yeah. So, yep. That is so awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. Good for you. Congrats. Oh, thank you. And then your high school coach as well, right? Track and field? Arlington High School, yeah. Awesome. Yep. Sheesh, that's a lot. That's a 10 record? Okay, I want all y'all to just, yes, I'm a humble brag today. And first woman, female runner for a marathon in the world marathon? Am I getting that wrong? Hockey player, I'm sorry. No, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, not me, not her. Hockey, hello. That's huge. I work for Marion now, I'm a detective and police reporter detective. That, okay, yeah, next level. Holy smokes. Hey, congrats to the hockey league, though. Yeah, I know. That's amazing. It's unreal for them, right? Yeah, a bunch of my like really good friends are in it. So cool. That's so cool. Very good, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll sit. And honestly, once this discussion gets going, I think I'll just sit and... Okay, thank you. I'll make sure to get it before. But awesome, yeah, thank you. And I said that like, it's going to be very conversational. Like, I don't think it's direct. You guys chime in. Like, I just love how even this student right here is like, they go through hardship. You know, like these kids are just trying to figure it out. So, yeah. So if anything just comes up, don't like, please. Okay. You know. And then do you have to look? I'll keep a good eye out on time. But what, like 12:30? Keep up class. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And we're going to introduce. Do you want me to start off with the first question, like down the line, and explain like how sports impact you? Okay. So I'll thank you. Cool. So you guys, just so you know, I think I was just saying like let this be super conversation. Like I'll moderate it, whatever that means, but like you guys chime in. But, you know, you're the stud athlete, so we want to hear from you. And I'll probably just start it off by just going down the line saying how sports has impacted you. You got a question, right? Your life today. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. No worries. I'm just going to. Oh, okay.
No, I'm from Birmingham. shout her out. Oh, that's so cool. How you doing? Yeah, this is awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Is she back there? I gotta find her. I'll call her out. I know. It wasn't too long ago. I was sitting on the bench, like helping, trying to help somebody. We're so great. Yeah. My mom has been traveling to play off, so they had a game tonight. We're like, ugh. I know. Let's go. She's, yeah, they have better tickets than me. I can't even get those tickets. Congrats on what you're doing. Thanks for all that you do for us. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Yeah, Pat, she's great.
Okay, we're going to get started with our panel. One of the most amazing parts is when you hear the incredible athletes that we have here with us. And I'm going to start with one of our panelists who's going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes, but somebody that you probably all have a chance to see very often, and that is Steve Burton. Steve Burton, as you probably see many, many evenings, is on WBZ Channel 4 doing sports reporting, has been for a really long time. He's been a great friend to our office. Just a little bit ago, he helped us on our Safe Space on a slides program where we talked about, with little kids, about how to deal with issues of racism and bias in those schools. And he's now the sports director at WBZ, and he reports and he anchors the station's sportscast Sunday through Thursday nights. He also hosts Sports Final on Sundays, New England Patriots Game Day, Patriots Fifth Quarter, and Patriots All Access during the football team. He went to work at BZ in '94, and prior to that, he had worked as a sports anchor and reporter for Nesson since 1998. He hosted there the pre- and post-game shows for the Boston Red Sox. Steve grew up in Framingham, where it was really a sports family. His dad, Ron Burton, played for the New England Patriots. Steve graduated from Framingham High School. He was the quarterback for the school's football team. He went on to play quarterback on the Northwestern University team. While he was there, he got a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's in broadcast journalism. When he's not busy at WBZ, Steve spends a lot of his time working at the Ron Burton Training Village, which if you don't know about, I suggest that you take a look at. It is a year-long training program that really enriches the lives of inner-city kids by focusing on education, leadership, physical well-being, and spiritual growth. He also serves as a board member on several children's charities, including the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we are incredibly fortunate to have him here with us today, and he's going to be coming in just a couple of seconds to join the panel. But in addition, and in talking about what a great sports family it is, we are very grateful to have a second member of the Burton family here on my left, Kayla Burton. And Kayla is the host at NBC Sports Boston. She covers all of the Boston sports, Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, and Bruins. She spent several years as a host and a reporter for both collegiate and professional sports. Most recently, she was at ESPN, where she served as the college football sideline reporter. And before that, she was at NFL Media, where she served as a multi-platform role across the NFL Network, NFL.com, and the NFL app. Prior to going there, Kayla had spent time in various roles in Western Mass News based in Springfield. She was a sports news anchor, a reporter, and a content producer. She also presented Channel 5's NFL coverage in the United Kingdom. Kayla graduated from Lehigh University in 2017 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism and a minor in Africana Studies. While at Lehigh, she was a standout for the NCAA Division I women's basketball team. She then went on to earn her master's degree from Syracuse Newhouse School. And to her left, I can never tell my left and right, is Isabella Tassoni, who is a Framingham High graduate. She was, while at Framingham High, a member of the swim and dive, the indoor track, and the girls lacrosse team. She served as a captain in both the swim and dive and lacrosse team. She went on to Merrimack College, where she played women's lacrosse. She was the captain of that team during her senior year, and she was the co-president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. While a senior at Merrimack, she was the recipient of the Travis G. Kong Award, which recognizes outstanding service to the Merrimack College community, and the Athletic Directors Award. She received her bachelor's degree in media and from Merrimack and a master's degree in management. She's currently in her third year as the assistant athletic director at Natick High School, and she's the girls varsity lacrosse assistant coach. Next to her is Abby Jones, and Abby is a graduate of Arlington High School and Assumption College. At Assumption, Abby was a member of the track and field team. She was the women's team captain both her junior and senior years. Her main events were the heptathlon, which is 7 track and field events, and the pentathlon, which is 5 track and field events, with her strengths being in high jump, long jump, and hurdles. She is a 4-time college All-American in the heptathlon and the pentathlon, and currently holds 10 Assumption records. She attended graduate school at Northeastern, and she now works as a speech-language pathologist at the Prospect Hill Academy Charter School in Somerville, where she services kids in pre-K through 6th grade. She is also the head coach for the Arlington High School girls outdoor track and field team. Our next panelist is somebody that we know very well, Danielle Doherty. And we are incredibly fortunate to have Danielle in our office, the Middlesex DA's office, where she serves as a Massachusetts State Trooper assigned to our homicide unit. Danielle grew up in Newton. She went to the Newton Public Schools until grade 9. She then changed to Lawrence Academy, a prep school in Groton, where she graduated in 2010. While she was at Lawrence, she was a 4-year varsity player for field hockey, ice hockey, and softball. She then went on to BC from 2010 to 2015. She had a double major in elementary education and applied psychology and human development. In 2015, she received her master's degree in special education. She was also a member of the NCAA Division I women's ice hockey team from 2010 to 15. And during that time, she was a 2011 Hockey East champion, a 2011 and 2014 Beanpot champion, and a 2011, 12, 13, and 15 Frozen Four participant. Danielle was also recognized with the Athletic Directors Award for Academic Achievement and was a member of the ACC Academic Honor Roll team in her senior year. In October of 2021, having changed paths in her career, Danielle had spent 6 months in the State Police Academy and then became a trooper in the Massachusetts State Police, and then ultimately joined our office working in our homicide division. And at the far end of the panel, but certainly not least, I'm grateful that we have retired NFL player Pete Kendall with us today. Pete is a 1991 graduate of Archbishop Williams High School and a 1995 graduate of Boston College. While Pete was at BC, he was a 4-year starter for the football team. In 1992, he was a freshman All-American, and in 1994 and again in 95, he was the first team All-Big East and ECAC, which is the Eastern College Athletic Conference. In 1996, Pete was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. In the first round, he was a 21st pick overall in the draft. He played with Seattle for 4 years until 2000. He then played with the Arizona Cardinals from 2001 to 2003, joined the New York Jets in 2004, played there to 2006, and then went on to the Washington Commanders in 2007 and 2008. Since retiring from football, Pete has worked in the financial services. He grew up in Weymouth, but he and his wife, Michelle, raised their 3 children in Norwell, Massachusetts. And I skipped over because I didn't see her, although I see her every 15 minutes. And frankly, because when I tell you about her, it makes me very, very tired. Next to Pete, we have Becca Peasy. And I want to tell you a little bit about how Becca finds herself here today. Just 2 weeks ago, she competed in the World Ironman Triathlon in Nice, France. Was the first American woman to complete the World Marathon Challenge, which is, you ready? 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. Okay, I don't know how you do that. And she is the current world record holder. Becca lives in my hometown in Belmont with her husband and her 16-year-old daughter. She graduated from Belmont High School in 1998, graduated from Mars Hill College in 2002, where she played soccer and ran cross-country, indoor track, and outdoor track. She now coaches the Belmont High School track and field team. She has completed a marathon in all 50 states. She has finished the World Marathon Majors and run 20 consecutive Boston Marathons. She raced in the Kona Ironman World Championship in Kailua Kona, Hawaii in 2023, and really attributes her success in all of these things. I'm still stuck on the 7 days. To her family and the Boston community. She is most passionate about directing the 9th annual Becca Peasy 5K race in Belmont and the Becca Peasy Foundation. She, like Dr. Jenkins, also wrote a children's book called Becca's Feet, F-E-A-T, accomplishment feat, on feet. And all of the proceeds from that book benefit the Becca Peasy Foundation, which has awarded over $100,000 in scholarship. So in Belmont, I pass under the bridge all the time with banners talking about Becca's run, and they track her as she goes around the world running on those. So we're very happy that she was able to run up here to be with us today, as we are with all of our panelists. So I'm going to turn it over to Kayla, who's going to moderate for us.
Wow. Marion, thank you so much. And first of all, thank you guys for being here. I mean, just listening to all y'all who are standing up when questions are being asked or you guys have questions. What I love about you guys is you're like, yeah, I want to ask a question. And I'm the reporter here, and I'm taking notes after you guys, so keep that going. Thank you guys for all being here. Before we even dive into this, Becca, I just have to know, is jet lag even a thing for you? Like, how were you able to go from one continent to the other? Continent, y'all.
Yeah, we crossed 16 time zones, so at times I didn't know if it was AM or PM. It was just eyes on the prize.
Let alone running. With your eyes closed, probably.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So one thing that I believe all of us in this room have in common is work ethic and dedication. No matter what our resumes say, whether it's in the NFL, whether it's on television, whether it's setting records, coaching, being leaders, all across the board, one thing that each and every single one of us, and I'm not a motivational speaker, so I'm not getting into it, but one thing that each and every single one of us can relate to is your work ethic. And that's what got you here. You guys know how to freaking work. So if there's anything that we can take from today, like, know that you can work and it pays off. No matter if you're a starter, if you only average 3 minutes a game or whatever, you guys know what it takes to work. And that's what I want to ask, these folks, our panelists here today, and maybe we'll go down the line, starting with you, Isabella. Just how has playing your sport, how has that impacted your life where you are today? Just a little brief synopsis, if we can.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Isabella, as D.A. Ryan said, Framingham graduate. I know Framingham's here today, too, so hello, Framingham.
Let's go.
Sports has impacted me in a million ways. I am now the assistant athletic director of Natick High School, and I really think that my sports journey kind of led me to that point, to be in this position and to really kind of be a voice and a leader and be a support system for people just like you sitting here. And I was sitting in your chairs really not that long ago. I think that playing a sport has taught me, and kind of through high school and through college, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? To really kind of embrace challenges and to be resilient and to be a leader and to put myself in certain situations that my friends and my other classmates maybe weren't. Like, I had a 6 a.m. practice, or maybe I couldn't go and hang out because I had to study because I was gonna be away all weekend. Kind of those sorts of things, and to really just kind of grow and learn and get to where I am now. So, I mean, sports really has changed the whole course of my life, and I absolutely love what I do. And I could go on and keep talking for forever, but I will pass it over to Abby.
So for me, I think sports instilled a lot of like structure. I think thinking back to where you guys are right now, I don't know how you're waking up, going to school, going to practice, doing homework, eating dinner. Like, that seems like a lot, but right now it's building up to what you can do in the future. I think similar to what Isabella said, it's giving you the structure to know, hey, I have a game this weekend, I'm gonna be away, I gotta do my homework, and there's gonna be some sacrifices, but I think sports really like instills that structure, and it also gives you like built-in best friends. I know I'm pretty close with some of my high school teammates still, and even college teammates, so I think sports have just kind of shaped me as a whole to just build up, you know, a strong character.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Feels like I was just in your seats not too long ago. So I have to say, sports has been a part of my life since I was able to walk. My dad built a hockey rink in the backyard, and from that moment, I just fell in love with the game. Obviously, you know, you just learn a bunch of skills, social skills, mental skills, physical, organization, discipline. But I think one of the, you know, biggest things I took away from sports is adversity. So, you know, I might think you know, going to Boston College was my dream school. I can get more into it as let everybody else speak here, but when I was at BC, I suffered 3 hip surgeries. So I thought, you know, going there, I was gonna have the best experience of my life, and, you know, adversity kind of hit me. So I think what I took away is just being positive with everything that you do, and just making yourself known, even though, you know, I wasn't there, you know, playing in games or anything like that. I just made every instance that I had just a positive one, and just take everything, you know, and be the best that you can, and just always, when you interact with anybody, whether it's other opponents, other teammates, how do you want to be remembered? So.
I think for me, it's just to keep showing up. You know, I've embarrassed myself on some of the biggest stages, but they're all learning experiences. And I remembered one time I was feeling a lot of pressure racing, and I called race director Boston Marathon Dave McGilvery, and I said, I'm really stressed out. I said, I'm feeling a lot of pressure, and he said, pressure is a privilege. You didn't get to where you are by accident. So if you're feeling a lot of pressure, you're pretty privileged, and that kind of stuck with me. I thought that was a little awesome that he said that to me, so.
You're late. Like, we're with athletes. There's like laps that you have to take, but we'll get to you after. Don't let him be distracting. Pete.
Yeah, so sports and literally changed the trajectory of my life. I grew up in Weymouth and solidly middle class, and my parents did all they could to get me to Archbishop Williams, and you know, I'll never forget, it was 35 years ago this month, and I was at a crossroads. I was same height, 100 pounds lighter, and my hair was naturally dark then, as opposed to how it stays dark now. And I was about to quit football because I wasn't playing much on the junior varsity as a junior at a football school, and somebody who thought they had a future with football. I almost tossed it away, and so every day I'm glad, obviously, that I didn't do that and that I hung in there, but I tried to share that lesson with the kids that I've coached and my kids and the people that I've been able to be around. It's just, and I think the speaker before this panel said something to the similar effect of make the most of today. Tomorrow's another opportunity. And, for me, sports was that other opportunity and, just changed the entire direction of my life. So I'm very grateful for sports in general and obviously football specifically.
I will call you Dad, but Steve, Dad, we're talking about how sports has impacted you.
Well, you have impacted me because you could say good morning first. Appreciate that.
Good morning.
I'm sorry for my tardiness, you guys. I just came from the Patriots, Foxborough, where they're trying to turn things around down there. But sports has impacted my life because it gave me an opportunity to try and glorify God. My whole life is based on my faith, and that's how I try and bring my family up, but it gives me an opportunity to no matter what direction I go in, to try and glorify God. And it totally changed my life. And it changed my family's life. And one of the things that I learned, my dad played for the Patriots. And I grew up, believe it or not, I had a chance to cover this guy on TV. And tremendous, tremendous player. But it gives me a chance to glorify God. And that's what I like.
One
that
thing
okay?
that, what'd you say?
Is that okay?
That's all right. One thing that I took away from each one of you was it wasn't always easy. And these are record holders up here. And Pete, I want to throw this back at you because you said that there was a point where you were questioning football. And I don't know, you don't have to raise your hands, but some of you may be in this seat and sitting here today and saying, why am I doing this? Like, why did I decide to be an athlete? Like, sometimes this sucks. Like, waking up at 6 a.m., you see the people, some are out late, having a good time, and you are busting your behinds, getting up, putting in work on a regular basis, and you ask yourself, why did I decide to do this? And some of you aren't even playing that much. And then you even ask yourself more, why am I doing this? Some of you don't like your coach or your teammates. Why am I doing this? Or the sport is so hard. So Pete, I want to ask you, when you made it to the NFL, you're drafted by the Seahawks, who we won't talk about because they kind of beat us in week 2. Touchy subject. How did you handle, what was your mentality when you were considering quitting, and how'd you get through it?
Yeah, so I think the reason that I thought about packing it up was, I think I had mentioned previously, I considered myself a pretty good football player, but the coaching staff didn't seem to agree. I probably wasn't doing myself any favors insisting that I was an option quarterback at a gangly 180 pounds and slower than Bambi on ice. So maybe some of that fault lays with me. But really it was a coach, the junior varsity coach, who pulled me aside. He could tell I was embarrassed. My friends, my best friends were all stars on the varsity team, and it was embarrassing for me on Mondays when the varsity would come down and watch me play on JV. But I think back how quickly all that changed. A year later, I was fielding scholarship offers and some awards and off to school, and to bring it back to Seattle. By the time I get to Seattle, obviously very, very blessed to have achieved what I did to get there, but also just kind of knowing in the back of my mind, whether it's good today or bad today, I've got to come back and go be good again tomorrow and just keep going. And so don't, when I coach, I try to tell my kids, anybody can do anything for 5 seconds, and that's about the average length of a football play. And you just got to do that 60 separate times in a game, and then tomorrow forget about everything that happened yesterday and just get your mindset that you're going to go do that again today. You're going to go put in the work today, and when today is over, you do it again tomorrow. And I think probably for everybody up here, that just becomes a mentality. It becomes part of your routine. It's who you are. It's not even a conscious decision anymore. You just wake up and start to go to work on today. And when today's over, go to work tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And Becca, I want to ask you too. 3 hip surgeries? Oh, I'm sorry. Danielle, 3 hip surgeries. I got to make sure I'm getting everyone right. Danielle, 3 hip surgeries.
Yes.
Hello. That's a lot. How did you keep pushing through?
So I think that, so just to kind of give you a little bit of background. So my freshman year, I was, new on the team, and obviously BC was a top program, still pretty top program right now, but we were always like in the top 4. So being a freshman and, having to deal with, upperclassmen and everybody. So before growing up in high school, you're best player on the team by far, and now you're going to a very top collegiate program, and now you're, going to school with all the best players from their state. So now your role kind of changes. You go from being a top line player to maybe a 4th line player to a 3rd line player. So my freshman year, I was kind of going back and forth. I started a few games as 1st line, then went down to 3rd line, and your coach might not even give you a reason why you're no longer, in the top 3, or you're on the 4th line, or maybe one game you're in the stands, and they just don't give you any reason at all. So freshman year was kind of up and down, but I just stayed positive. I was very fortunate to be at Boston College, and wanted to be a teacher really bad, and they had a great program, so I was really fortunate there. So then going into my sophomore year, we have to do training and running and sprints. So I ended up tearing my labrum in my right hip. My athletic trainer told me, and I was like, "Your labrum?" I'm like, "What even is that?" And so then I got an MRI and found out that it was torn. Then my coaches, I had a meeting with them, and they're like, "You know what, you're a scholarship player, you get 5 years to play 4 years, so you might as well redshirt and get your master's." I'm like, "Okay, perfect." So my sophomore year, I took the whole year off and just got healthy, got better. And then I was really excited for my junior year, couldn't wait to get back, and we had to do our 300-yard shuttle. So you have cones lined up 25 yards apart, you gotta go up and down 6 times. And I remember going up to a turn, and I got low into the turn, and I felt the pop, and I'm like, "Oh, yep, I just did it again." And I would try to do cortisone shots, and didn't help, it only made it worse. So then talked to my coaches, and I was like, "Listen, this me playing, it's not gonna work." So I ended up not playing my junior year as well. It actually, I kind of fell in love for coaching and for teaching at that point, because even though I wasn't a part of the team, I still got to, interact with the players, give them advice when they'd come off, games. There were people that'd be upset. You can be there for them. I would give some advice to my coaches as well, because I'd be watching a lot. So then, so just, 3 hardships. So sorry to go back, but my junior year, when I tore my right one again, I was favoring my right, and I did the left one in the same year. So I ended up getting both hips done. So I was able to come back my senior year, and then I got a 5th year. But let me tell you, it was really hard, because now you have all these young freshmen who are really in shape, and they're very good players. So it was definitely a battle. But again, every opportunity that I got, I just, made every situation positive. And again, I was at a great school. I have friendships that I am still, the girls are best friends of mine. And everything that I've learned there and experienced, I'm using today in the job that I do now. So,
Raise your hand if you guys have dealt with an injury, serious, non-serious. Wow. Yeah. So she knows, And when you're dealing with an injury, and as Danielle just shared, like, you probably think, "Man, can I keep doing this?" Like, to even, one, ball out at the level that you can, but to be set back by an injury. Raise your hand if you question if you could even get back to your normal self. Yeah, those hands went up quickly over there. And then on top of that, and I'd like to ask both Abigail and Isabella, how with social media, which is a whole nother ballgame, and I'm experiencing this in broadcasting, I feel, in life, I feel like all of us can. With social media, and you guys work hand in hand with student athletes on a regular basis as leaders, how do you kind of navigate that added layer of wanting to be, even though it's unattainable, perfect, and then you have social media where everyone's posting their best selves. You can go on my social media and it looks fantastic. And I promise you, my dad can attest, how many times have I cried? Don't go too into it. But how many breakdowns have I had in time?
A ton.
Okay, easy. Enough where you are not showing that on a regular basis. It's not real. I mean, yeah, you're posting your life, you're doing, like, I get it, but we're comparing ourselves naturally. You don't even know that you're doing it. We had a psychiatrist get up here and say, delete the first, top 2. I deleted some, and I'm like, thank the Lord. So I want to ask, and we'll popcorn this, but when you work with student athletes on a regular basis and then you have the social media layer, what's your advice to some of these student athletes?
I think that social media is a great thing, but it also can be a really toxic thing. So I think when it really comes to social media, kind of navigating that and seeing who, like Dr. Jenkins talked about earlier, who are you following? How is this making you feel? I think especially in athletes, there's a lot of pressure, right? In my time at Merrimack playing lacrosse, I did not have this glorious career in stats, in terms of stats. You could go, I didn't break any records, I didn't have millions of goals. I just really was a good teammate and tried to be the best that I could. So when you go and you look at these things on social media, think about all of the external factors too. How you're doing in school, how are your relationships with your family and your friends? Thinking about all of those things, and are you happy? Those are like really the big things that I think that we all need to take away from and kind of shield out that social media and always glorifying like, oh, all of these goals, or oh, I'm on this vacation, or oh, I'm this, because sometimes social media masks how people are really feeling. So really trying to kind of not compare yourself and know, like, if you're in a good place and you feel like you're happy with how things are going, block all that stuff out, right? Because at the end of the day, all that matters is yourself and how you're feeling and if you're happy where you are. So as much as social media is a great thing, also trying to navigate that and not solely put your focus on what's out there on social media.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, I think social media can be kind of fake, right? You're never gonna see someone posting a picture of themselves like having a mental breakdown or like the negative things. You're always gonna see like the perfect version of themselves. So I think it's hard to kind of realize that in the moment, and you do get sucked into like comparing yourself to them. But I think to some extent, if you're on social media a lot and you're struggling, whether it's in school or in life or in sports, like taking that away and taking time for yourself, I think is the most important thing. I think that basically social media can be good because you can get really good videos for like, I don't know, if you like cooking or if you want to learn a new like move or a route or something for your sport. But I think kind of taking yourself away from it and kind of bringing yourself back to reality is, what's real, honestly, because sometimes on social media you can get sucked in and the comparison's just like not healthy at the end of the day.
Dr. Jenkins had us close our eyes, and how, like, it was so relaxing. Like, how often do you go throughout the day and you just take 2 minutes to yourself and you just kind of close your eyes and just visualizing goals and turn off social media for a second? Felt really good. And I think that's something that you can do on a regular basis. Becca, you talked about pressure. And that is something we all deal with, whether you are, again, playing 2 minutes, 32 minutes, whatever. But when your name and your jersey number is called, or when it's not called, how do you handle that pressure? And by the way, let this be conversational, so if you guys have any thoughts on this, chime in.
So I go into every single race with 2 goals. On like on an A day, I'm gonna hit this goal. It's gonna be a little bit of a stretch, and then a backup goal in case I can't hit that A goal. And like you were just saying, my daughter who sprints, she runs the 100 yards, she'll come sprinting in the room and she's like, Mom, this girl did this. And I say, why are you worried about her? Why are you wasting energy on her? Worry about yourself, and how you can do better as an athlete. And then as she gets into the car, she doesn't always love doing this. I said, what'd you do good today? Tell me 2 things you did good today. And she tells me, I got a good start off the blocks, or I had a good finish. And then I say, and what do we need to work on? And then it's coming from her and not me. So that tends to help us out a lot.
Beck, I love that. A couple things I want to share with you guys. I want you guys who have notes to take this down. When you wake up in the morning, how many people can raise their hand and say they had a goal? Today. Goal. You heard Becca talk about goals. There's a saying I want you guys to write down. He who aims at nothing will hit it every time. Always have a goal. She, I'm getting there. She who aims at nothing will hit it every time. So when you wake up in the morning, have a goal. Find out what your goal is and try to achieve it. And if you don't achieve it, I'm very blessed. I get a chance to be around a lot of professional athletes, a lot of people that have been successful. So I try to take away things that I learned from successful people. And one of the things I learned from successful people is that when you fail, fail fast. Fail fast. You're going to fail. Everybody fails. Fail fast. Let it go and move on to the next one. I'll give you one quick story. Steph Curry. Playing the Celtics, Golden State Warriors, playing the Celtics, Steph Curry, I think it was game 5. Didn't hit a 3 in the entire game. Broke his own playoff record where he didn't hit a 3. Next day, Pete, we're at the Garden. Steph Curry's in there shooting. Only one shooting. Early. Hit 60 threes in a row. I'm counting them. And Steph goes, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. And he's hitting them. He goes, Steve. I go, he's going, no, that's not right. And I go to Steph. I go, Steph, you're hitting the threes. What's not right? He said, Steve, my goal is to not hit the rim. My goal is to have a swish every single time. So if it goes in and hits the rim, I don't count it. So when you meet your goal, raise it even higher. Fail fast, move on to the next one, but always have a goal.
I laugh at that because now my younger sister plays basketball for the Connecticut Sun, and I laugh because he made Veronica shoot like she was hitting, and I actually didn't know this. And he goes, my dad, no, V, you have to hit swishes. So now I know where that story's coming from. She's not Steph Curry, but you know, Pete, how have you been able to handle pressure? What advice would you have to these guys?
I guess I'd say you just have to, you have to imagine that nobody's watching. The flip side of that is you have to practice like the entire world's there. Because being lucky enough to play on Sunday, going back to what Becca said, there's always going to be pressure. There's going to be a stadium full of fans, and they're either rooting for you to fail, or they're going to be really upset when you do, depending on if you're on the road or at home. And then the game's going to be on television, and there's going to be people watching, and not just total strangers, but you know, family members, friends, former coaches, like that. That is pressure, but in order to succeed in a situation like that, you have to pretend, or at least for me, I took the tack. I was pretending that we're on the practice field and there's nobody there but my teammates and my opponent, and we were just playing a game to compete. So for me, acknowledge that pressure is there, put pressure on myself in situations that maybe other people wouldn't think are pressure-packed situations, so that when you get into the real situation, it's not the first time you felt pressure.
I love that you said, feel the pressure, accept the pressure. Like, people ask me, do you get nervous when you're on TV? I get nervous every single time. Every single time. I got nervous standing up here. Like, getting nervous and feeling that pressure, I have learned, is a healthy thing. It's a realistic thing. It's human, and it's okay. Now, taking it to the next step, how do you manage, how do you control that pressure? How do you accept it and still deliver? And that's just not in sports. That's in anything that you do. Because for some of you, sports will continue. For others, sports will end. And one thing that I feel like is really palpable and something that is really tangible for all of us is it's human nature to get jealous, even though we don't want to, even though there's a lot of things that tell us not to be envious of the person to the right, person to the left. But, and feel free to just chime in, whoever, thinks of this first or whatever comes to you. How do you handle not being supportive, being a supportive teammate without getting jealous of that person? Any of them?
I can go. So I think, so if you're a senior, you're a junior, upperclassman, and obviously there's a freshman on the team or a sophomore who are making varsity, you might feel a little jealous because oh my God, they might take my spot. So I think the biggest thing, and again, like Kayla said, it's very natural to feel jealous tendencies, but it's how you act and react. So basically, what I say is control what you can control. So if you're in fear of maybe losing your spot or jealous of somebody else, just worry about the things that you can control. So whether if you're on the field, the ice, football field, anything that you guys are doing. When a coach calls you in, right? They blow the whistle, everyone comes to huddle. What are you doing? Are you turning to the person to the right and having small chatter? Are you sprinting to be the first one to get to the coach? When coach is, showing the drill that's next, are you off the side talking, or are you all eyes on the coach and, paying attention and wanting to do the drill? Are you first in line to do the drill? So things like that are going to get you noticed, and will put you in a better situation, so you might not lose your spot. But I think the biggest thing is just kind of control what you can control. If you start worrying about what other people are doing, that's where you kind of get the whole mental part, and will kind of throw you off. So just really focus on things that you can control: discipline, dedication. Just like Steve kind of mentioned, what time are you showing up to the field? Are you showing up right at the start of practice? Are you getting there 30 minutes before? Are you staying after? Maybe you go up to coach and say, hey coach, I want to work on, that kick from this spot. Do you mind staying after? And it'd be very rare that a coach would say no to you. If they say no to you, then that's on them, but at least you're putting in the effort. So just worry again what things that you can control, and just trying to be the best person that you can be. And if you do that, then you don't have to worry about somebody else or anything like that.
I just want to handle this question because it's a great question, right? And people go through it. And one of the things that my dad taught me, you never want to be jealous of someone else. Even if they're better, you get better, right? My dad taught me this. He said, winners don't mind other people winning. It's the losers. Winners don't mind other people winning. It's the losers that mind. And I want you guys to remember that. My dad started framing up Pop Warner football back in the day. I'm the oldest of five. Me and my brothers never played. We were on the team, never played. And I remember my mom in the kitchen turning to my dad. And my mom goes to my dad, those coaches are prejudiced. Our kids never get into the game. And my dad turned to my mom and said, those coaches aren't prejudiced, honey. I picked all the coaches. Our kids aren't that good. And that's what he said, right in front of us. But he said to my mom, he said, that's okay. They don't need to be good at age 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Just let them learn the game. And remember this, the struggle makes you stronger. Think about a muscle. A muscle gets stronger when it has to lift weights. So all those kids that were good at age 8, 9, 10, and 11, and we didn't play, we got hungrier. And as we're getting hungrier, we're getting better. And as we're getting better, by the time we came to our senior in high school, we passed all those kids by. And we were able to go on football scholarship somewhere. So don't get jealous of somebody, get better. And be happy for the person who does well.
On that topic, because I know that you have dealt with, you're a black man in a sports world.
Oh, you're going to race, huh?
Well, call it a spade, it is.
Okay.
How do you handle being black in areas that may be difficult to climb up the ladder? How have you been able to handle that territory?
It's easy for me because I was taught to treat everybody the way I want to be treated. Black, white, orange, doesn't matter who you are. If you can treat everybody the way you want to be treated, If Pete doesn't like me because I'm a different color, that's not on me. I can't control my color. I'm still going to be good to Pete. No matter what, I'm going to be good to Pete. And by doing that, I'm going to go by Pete. And Pete doesn't even know I'm going by him. And that's how, if you treat everybody the way you want to be treated with love, that's how you go by people.
And I want to ask, the women up here too, y'all have had to conquer different things in a male-dominated industry too. How have you been able to navigate that? Because everyone's got their own thing, whether it's I'm mixed, being one of the few women of color in my industry, or being a woman in the sport, or being a young man who is the first to play a sport. Everyone's got their own thing. So how have you been able to tackle that and represent too?
I can take this one. I feel like, kind of similar to what Steve had said, that I think if you're treating others the way that you want to be treated, you shouldn't have any issue, right? I teach my preschoolers this when they're learning how to share, and they're grabbing things and they might hit someone. I'm like, would you like it if I did that to you, or if they did it to you? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And I think if you're able to navigate that channel through life, I think people are going to see you for like a bigger person, right? You might not get sucked into all the little dramas or anything. And I think right now with women's sports being, getting bigger and bigger and having more media light and recognition, I think you look at all the big names in women's sports, right? Like Caitlin Clark, I don't know who else, I'm blanking, but you look at all these women and they carry themselves with such like poise and like courage. So I think if you're able to kind of channel that, people are going to kind of look up to you, and you're going to earn their respect.
I also want to open it up to you guys. Like, I really want this to be conversational, and I'm doing all the questions, but I know you guys have questions. So if you guys have questions, because we have the time, and I'd rather hear from your guys' perspective, raise those hands. And I knew those hands would go up. I knew they would go up. Okay, so, honestly, do you want to get a mic? Okay. Sweet. And I want you to say your name proudly and direct the question or ask whatever you want to do.
I'm Tyler Parche from Bishop McGurran. I have a question for Abigail Jones. How do you think that being the leader of an individual-focused sport like track is different from being a leader on a team sport?
Great question.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of athletes in here, they think track is very individualized, but if you've been on a track team, usually what you do does affect the team, but at the end of the day, you're all scoring points to beat the other team. So even though you're the only one in the lane, you're the only one on the long jump runway, you're still earning points for a bigger cause. So I think that even though it is an individualized type sport, it's still bigger than that, and it has a bigger impact than just you. And I think that goes the same way if you have a bad day, it's not only on you, because as cheesy as it sounds, there's no I in team, right? You're not the only defender on the field. You're not the only person on the ice. You're not the only person in the track, right? It takes a team effort. So even though you might be doing well, great, you're adding to the team. And if you're not doing well, that's okay. That's why we have teammates to help support us.
Kayla or Steve can answer this.
Wait, what's your name?
Connor.
Connor.
Yeah.
What's up, Connor?
How did you achieve your current role in sports like today?
A lot of failure. A lot of failure. So the question, how did you achieve to where you are today? It's funny because I was in grad school at Syracuse, and I know you're gonna smile. Grad school at Syracuse, and I obviously got the firsthand experience with the sports reporting from my dad and my uncle, and there's a lot of talkers in the Burton family, and thank God there's a career for it. So I was like, okay, I know I'm not gonna be a professional athlete. I'm done with basketball. Good. I wanna get into sports broadcasting. So I go apply to Syracuse. Honestly, like, it was a day before application. Like, I kind of just was like, I'm gonna go for it. And by the grace of God, was able to get in. And also, it was brutal going to doing the grad school thing. I said, we'd call them 24 suicide. You'd run up and down courts and suicides where you hit the, free throw line and back and et cetera. And I remember being in grad school, and I was like, I will run, we called them 24-24s. I was like, I will run 40 of the 24-24s over what I'm doing in grad school. Because I got, my professor gave me a D for mispronouncing someone's name while we're doing like our reports. And like everyone in that grad school class everyone was very prideful. It's kind of like you don't want to show that you're messing up or whatever. So I remember sitting in class and we had a presentation or we had our practice live hits, and she gave us our grades back. I kid you not, every single one of them got like A's and B's, and I got a D. And people, would cover, it's almost like the middle school style where you're covering your grade because you don't want people to see. I did not care because I was so mortified. I go, Professor Somsky, in front of everyone, I like blacked out. I was like, I can't get a D. I will not pass. Like, I will not pass. And she goes, well, you can't mispronounce. You got to do better. And the class is like, Kayla got a D. I'm like, I know, And I call my dad. You remember this call?
Oh, I remember.
Bawling my eyes out. Bawling. I can't do it. I suck at this. I forget it. Like, I'm not going to forget even getting a job. I'm not going to graduate. And honestly, you remember that conversation. It was rough.
Yeah.
And what did you tell me?
Hang in there, and you'll get through it.
Yeah, but you also, so he would make us wake up in the morning, one way to put it, and shoot basketball hoops. And he goes, well, how did you get better at basketball? And I was like, well, practice. And he was like, okay. I was like, Dad, it's not basketball. This is different. And he goes, you need to practice your reps. So for a year straight, and this is corny, but this is really what we did, at 6 a.m., he would call me, and we would practice live hits on the phone. I'd be in my room that I couldn't afford, and thanks for the help. And he would be like, all right, sending it out to Kayla. Kayla, take it away. Thanks, Steve. All right, coming here from Syracuse University. Professor Skomsky says I failed, but I'm going to get better tomorrow. Like, I'm just practicing my reps. And so even though I failed, I was like, okay, we're going to get better at this. So anyway, I'll shut up and let other people talk. But by the end of this, we had to land an internship. And two of us were the only ones who didn't land an internship. Everyone else, I thought I was going to work at Nesson. I thought my dad maybe had pull, and I could be like, oh, I did an 8-hour interview. And the president never got back to me there. And I wasn't going to Nesson. And the only opportunity was a Western Mass News, and it was only news. And I was like, well, this is all I got. I got to take it. And it was exactly where I needed to be. And Dr. Jenkins said something that stuck with me, you are where your feet are. And I didn't want to do news. I want to do sports. I want to be at ESPN. But at the time, and how I view my life, God said, not now. You're going to do news. You're going to work the assignment desk. You're going to call the fire department. You're going to call police officers. And then we'll get you to where you want to be. So I say that to say this, like, failing and messing up and getting D's and not having the minutes, like, it's all going to pay off for you guys, because if you just hang on in there and it's very seasonal, you can get to where you're supposed to be. So that was a long-winded answer. Yeah, let's hear. Oh yeah, please, sorry. We'll get to you too.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm from Everett. I have a question for Danielle. After reading your paper, I saw that you I think you majored in education. I'm not sure. But what made you change into being a detective?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was little, my dream was always to go to Boston College. So when I was there, they did not have criminal justice as a major. And I was like, okay, well, I love teaching, so I want to go into teaching. So I think, after I graduated BC, I got into teaching and coaching. And then in the back of my mind, I always wanted to, join the state police. And it's always been a goal to move up in the state police. And I was very fortunate to get into the detective unit very, very early on in my career. But I think teaching and being a detective and being a police officer is actually really similar, because a lot of times you might think, when your interaction with a police officer might not be the best. And every experience that I have with any interaction or anybody that I speak to, I try to make it a learning experience for them. So I feel like I'm always teaching. And even my interactions with adolescents, with adults, I'm learning interview skills, I'm learning communication skills. So I'm learning, they're learning, and I feel like it's just a great situation all around, and yeah, I really love what I do. There's there's a really tough conversations that I have to have with this job, and it's really my experience with coaching, teaching, playing sports has, I think, shaped me to where I am right now in my job. So.
My name's Matt Silva. I'm from Framingham, and I have a question for Steve. First, I want to thank you for expressing your faith and God and stuff. It's super inspiring. I love it. And my question was, how do you keep God at the center of your careers and let Him be known to others?
Wow, great question. How do I keep God at the center of my career? It's easy for me to do because I've been so humbled, and He's brought me to my knees. I've failed a lot in my life. I've made mistakes in my life, and I said, you know what? Short version. I made so many mistakes that my sister wrote a book about me. It's called Oh No, Stephen. You can get it at Barnes & Nobles and Borders. It's all the mistakes I made as a kid, and she put a lesson in each story. So my point was, if I was going to turn my life around, I was going to try and turn it around and give God the glory. But I'm glad you asked me that question, and I want to throw this out. I want to give you guys an example, and I want somebody to do this while we're here, okay? Anybody know what the word encouragement means? What does it mean? Go ahead, what does it mean? Yeah, good. What's your name? Troy. Great job. Encourage means to give courage. Give courage, right? I want somebody in this room to give me an example, to stand up next to that person, if you can. I know I'm putting you on the spot. To encourage a teammate. Because I want you guys to get in a practice of building your teammates up. That's what good leaders do. They build their teammates up. So someone, anyone, can stand up to next to the person that, anyone. Bueller? Anyone? Yeah. What's your name? My name's Nate. Nate. Teddy, stand up, Teddy. Come on, Teddy, give me a round of applause. Nate, I want you to give me an example of how you encourage Teddy and what Teddy, if Teddy had just a good game. I want you guys to get in a practice of doing this with your teammates or with your students or with someone in school. Build people up. We're in a world that tears people down. I want you to change the mindset. Build people up. Go ahead.
All right, so me and Teddy always talk after games, but I just want to say he's always encouraging me on the court. Whenever I make a bad play or mess up, he's like, all right, next play, you got to keep on moving forward and you got to get the job done. So I just want to say that he's always encouraging me, and the conversation that we have after games, yeah, it's encouraging both of us. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. How do you encourage him? Oh, hold on. I love that. How do you even know you're doing that? Do you even know what that, okay, but do you even know what that means to him? Sorry, Kayla, I don't mean to take over the show here. Do you even know what that means to him? Focus on the next play. So give me an example. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Give me a quick example of what you'd say to him. If you missed a basket, what would you say? If you hit a shot, what would you say? Awesome. And that means a lot to you, right? Great job. Round of applause. Kayla's going to kill me for doing this, but I'm going to do this, Kayla. I'll give it right back to you, okay? I have a son that plays football, right? Played football. And he got a phone call. He's in the middle of class. He got a phone call. Phone rings. He can't answer it. My son's name is Austin. But I'm going to play you the phone call. And it meant the world to him. And here's the phone call. I hope this works. Don't laugh at me if it doesn't.
Technology's scary.
I know, ready? Here we go. Hold on, I got it.
Just turn it up, though.
Okay, I got it.
Steve, the speaker's on the bottom. I know, I'm trying to help.
All right. Go ahead. Ready? Go.
Hey, Austin. Tom Brady here. Just tried your cell. but I got your number from your dad, and I just want to tell you, hang in there, bro, and keep after it. And even though you haven't got your opportunity yet, it's coming. So just stay prepared, be ready. That's all you can do. You know, gain the trust of your teammates. And when you get your shot, you know, you just never look back, all right? So hang in there and keep grinding and take care, pal. All right, see you.
So Austin calls me, he goes, Dad, Brady just called. And I didn't answer his phone. He goes, but that's okay. I got his number, I'll call him back. But it meant the world to me that he encouraged me. Got it, Caleb. But it meant the world to me that he encouraged me, right? So take the time to build someone up. Give courage. That's what you said, Troy, right? Give courage. There you go. Go ahead, Kev.
Thank you. I didn't get a Tom Brady call. We have 5 minutes, so if you guys have final questions. Thanks for sharing that, Dad. That was cool. Yes.
My name's Kylie Carmichael. I'm from Westford Academy, and I have a question. Like, a lot of my coaches say, like, if it's like a high-stake game, just go out there and have fun. And I know, like, in the back of my mind, maybe like the season's on the line or something. And I was just like wondering, like, what's your mentality going into those games? I guess anyone can answer it.
I think for my personal experience, a lot of times I think coaches like to go into that mentality of have fun because realistically, you're playing the best when you're having fun, right? When you're relaxed, when there's not necessarily all that pressure. Some people perform really well under pressure and some people don't. So I think that in terms of, you said that what was our, can you just repeat the last part of that question again one more time for me? Yeah, so I think it's a really good opportunity to learn and it's a really good opportunity to grow. I had a coach that always said when you were under high pressure and you were really nervous to take those butterflies and let the butterflies fly in formation. And that was something that really always stuck with me because I know for me personally, I really needed to take those moments to visualize, to like take a second to not pay attention to all of the external and all of the surroundings, but to just trust in myself and go out there and be the best that I could be. And that's all that a coach is asking for. At the end of the day, there's going to be times where you don't win and there's going to be times where you lose and it's right there, right at like the grasp of your fingertips. But if you can just go out there and know that you've put in the work and you've put in the practice and you've given it 100% and you've completely emptied your bucket, that's what a coach is always looking for. And that's the mindset that I always like to go into it as a player and as a coach, just putting it all out there and then whatever ends up happening happens.
Great question, great answer. Perfect. 2 more. Let's get.
Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. And what's your name? I like Newton South. Go South.
Hello, I'm Sophia. How do you deal with the pressure of leading your team to success?
Of leading your team to success?
Like, what are some like steps you take to like help yourself be calm and like, I don't know, like. Yeah.
I'll jump in. I'm sure some of the other panelists have good answers as well, so I'll try to keep my remarks really brief. I mean, I think being a good leader starts well before the game kicks off or tips off. I mean, for me, my approach to leadership was to help make sure that the guys around me were prepared, that we were all on the same page so that when we had to go play on Sunday afternoon, we weren't asking each other, what did you see here? What do you see there? What do we do? We were in the film room together from Monday to Saturday, going through all of that stuff. And so, you know, particularly as an older player towards the end of my career, it falls on somebody to take the mantle of leadership, to be that person in the room that is bringing everybody else together, encouraging them, as Steve was just talking about, and just talking through it while, you know, before you get to the storm, right? While it's still calm. And you can talk and you can rewind and you can kind of role play various scenarios. That to me is what I needed to do as a leader. There were other guys that were more inspirational or more motivational. They might be more outspoken. That wasn't my role. But the important part, I think, is that if you have the ability to lead in some way, you owe it to your teammates to try to do that.
Pete, you mentioned a really good point, and I know we have one more question that we'll cap it off with, but some of us are external, some of us are internal, but each and every single one of us are leaders. And so I honestly, you can tell a little more of the external, like my dad, but I always found that the most inspirational and leaders in my life were the action-driven type of people. The Matthew Slaters are the kind of guys that pop up. Like, you don't see Matthew Slater on Instagram or social media, but he's one of the greatest leaders in this world, in my opinion. So that's a really great point. Final question, and say your name, please.
All right, my name is Prince Xavier from Medford. My question is for Pete. Having talent is one thing, but staying and playing true to yourself and to your talents without doubting yourself is another. What do you do to stay true to yourself to make sure you stay making plays consistently without any doubt, being in the spotlight?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you for it. I think the thing that I found over the course of my career is that you have to be honest with who you are and what your capabilities are. For instance, in college, I played left tackle in the offensive line, which is sort of like the premier spot on the offensive line. And I got drafted, and my coach said, yeah, we drafted you to play guard. You're not good enough to play tackle. And I kind of struggled with that one right away. I was like, Coach, we haven't even gotten on the field yet. Like, I just got off the plane from, after the draft. He said, no, you're a guard. But he was 100% correct. I had the opportunity to play with some Hall of Fame left tackles, and I wasn't him. And so, if you're a baseball player and you're a pitcher and you can't throw the curve for a strike, then don't throw the curve when you need a strike, right? You embrace who you are, play to your strengths, while you acknowledge what some of your weaknesses might be.
Also, the Patriots are still maybe looking for a left tackle, so Pete, I don't know if you want to, go back there. Wow, thank you for that question. All of you guys, thank you for those questions. And just off of what Pete says, I want to say this. I talked to Drew Holiday recently, and he did say just what Pete said, which is, I am a star in my own role. And so no matter what your role is, be a star in it. That's what I learned from Drew Holiday. And clearly the Celtics just won. So thank you all. Alice, thank you. Panelists, thank you guys. Go kill it in your sports.
Thank you all, and thank you to Kayla. It is not easy under pressure when your dad is here. So thank you. You did a great job. Thank you. I want to thank you again for all being here. I want to thank your teachers and your coaches. I know it is a logistical nightmare getting everybody here and taking time out of school, so I'm very, very grateful. And I am, again, incredibly grateful to these amazing athletes and folks that you've seen up here on the panel who took time to be here for all of you. So thank you. Thank you.
You as well. Did you?
And you guys can feel free to come up and have a chat, and if you got questions that you didn't get to.
Yeah, get to class and talk to whoever you want to talk to. Don't be late.